My guest today is Channing. Like Channing Tatum, she often has to explain. She holds a master's degree in rehabilitation and mental health counseling and is an associate licensed professional clinical counselor, nearing the completion of her 3,000 hours of experience and scheduled to take her licensure exam by the end of 2025. She primarily specializes in eating disorders, but enjoys supporting people through life changes of all kinds. She is incredible for many reasons, and I'm excited for you to get to know her. I know her best as my sister, Channing Bushman.
Hey, Drew. How you doing?
Hey, Channing, I'm doing great. How are you today?
It's lovely to talk to you. I haven't been doing my sisterly duties and keeping up, but, we're
That's all
not
right.
great at that naturally anyway.
The kids are in bed. Tina's watching Dancing with the Stars, so we've got a little bit of time here we can chat.
Perfect. I always look forward to our times to talk.
All right. So before we dive in, I want to give a quick heads up to the audience for the format. So I sent today's guest a short set of anchor questions, the same ones that I'm going to send every guest, so they could think them over. We'll start there, then spend the rest of the episode on wildcard prompts pulled at random from a list of 60. Let's get into it. All right. So Channing, I like to start with this one because we've all carried around some weird ideas that don't age well. So what's something you used to believe about work or success that you just don't believe anymore?
This is a really interesting one, and I'm glad you sent it to me in advance so I could ponder it over a little bit. It's something that I really want to make sure that my thoughts are clear about. The thing that I have believed for all of my life, the thing that I have been told over and over, is to always do your best. And that's one I just don't think is true. I am very intentional about talking about this because the kind of people I think who would be drawn to this podcast and to your style of introspection, your things, the kind of people that you and me are not the people that will hear that and say, oh, good, I can slack off. That's not the kind of people you or I are. That's not the kind of people that would be drawn to this. And I think that's something that's really important because this isn't permission to slack off, but it is permission to give yourself grace, to give yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of leniency, to be told to not work harder than you can or more than you're able to. I work a unique job in a unique setting. I work in eating disorders at a residential eating disorder treatment center. I work very closely with 4 clients and in general with 12 at the residential that I work at. And I talk about it being hard to work a job where I feel like I can't give less than 100%. I want to give so much to my job. I love my job so much. And if I'm having an off day, if I had a weird dream, if I am tired, sore, sticky for whatever reason, it feels hard to not go in and give everything I can when I don't have 100% to give. And when you're pushing to give that 100% when you just don't have it in you, that's where burnout, that's where overwhelm, that's where those hard days happen. So I like to see it as a challenge to give a little bit more opportunity for something different. Maybe those are the days that in my therapy sessions, I do a little more listening than reflecting. I allow a little more space for silence. I bring something different in because I'm in a different space, and that's allowed. And I think what's most important about this, kind of the crux of it, is to know yourself, know your limits, and be able to set those boundaries and be really clear with what you know you can and can't do to make sure that doing is sustainable. The other piece to that. Oh, go ahead.
So, one of the things I joke about, and you've heard me say it before, and I've said it on the podcast before, is I don't know how to not run towards my goals at 1,000 miles per hour. And that's 100% true. But the other part of that statement is I don't run towards my not goals very quickly, right? I don't spend all my time, energy, and attention on things that I don't care about, that aren't going to move the needle for me, that aren't in line with my values. Yes, I'm going to do a great job at work, but my priorities are to give my best self to my family. And that means that if I'm running 1,000 miles per hour towards making my boss happy, I might not have anything left in the tank at the end of the day to give to my family that needs my highest and best self. And so I totally agree with you that it is very, very important not to slack off, to work hard, to do a good job, but to also know what your values are and know who your
Yeah.
audience is and recognize that not everyone needs 100%. And even if someone else needs 100%, that doesn't make it my responsibility to give it to them. Outside of my relationship with my wife and with my children, almost no one gets 100% from me pretty much ever. And that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that, I'm trying to neglect anybody or anything. I just recognize where my most important energy needs to go. And that's towards my family and building the things that are important to me. Like right now, I'm spending a lot of my extra energy and attention on the podcast and the blog and social
Yeah.
media to try to reach more people so I can have more impact. But does that mean I'm not also doing a good job at my 9 to 5? No, I'm still working hard.
Yeah, that was going to be my next point as well, that it is so important to me. One of my big values, one of those priorities that you're mentioning, is not living to work, but working to live, and making sure that I'm highlighting that life part of my life. And that if I come home every day and I'm depleted because I gave everything at my job, I'm not doing the wifely responsibilities that come with having loving
Or your
husband at
pup
home.
mom. Hey, you're a
But
dog
yes,
mom.
oh yes, and my
You've got
and
a
being a mom to
three-legged
my
dog
two
that you
lovely
love.
doggies. My doggies need my love too. But it's so important to be able to balance those things and to know where your values are. And of course, very stereotypical therapist thing to talk about values.
Sure.
Um, of course. And that my values definitely lie, similar to yours, in working a job that, yes, of course, is meaningful, but also allows me to live the life I want with my family. I think that's something we've always had in common and has been the root of lots of our conversations. Is we're not necessarily aligned with even everyone in our family, let alone everyone in society at large, in terms of thoughts about work and life division. And, again, what's uniquely hard for me is I love my job so much. And when I'm sitting across from someone who is clearly distressed and wants help so desperately, it is hard to look at that person and say, well, it's 5 o'clock and I have a family to go home to. I have a life to return to. So I'm going to say goodbye. And are there days when I stay late because I'm walking to my car in the parking lot and I see someone crying and clearly upset? Yes, absolutely. There are times where I sit down with that person and I talk to that person and I make sure that they have the support that they need. And I make sure that I take care of myself and that I have that time with my family, doing things that I value, going to like trivia nights I've really loved, watching different fun shows, like, all of those things that are also really important and fun and make life worth living, that make the job not soul sucking. All those things are also important. So this, going back to that first statement of this thought of you always have to try your best, I don't think is accurate, because I don't always have my best to give. And that's okay. And maybe you could say like, well, that's your best for the day. And that's okay too. And, there are some days where, nope, you're not getting the 100% of the 80% capacity I have left.
Sure.
You're getting 65.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to be okay with 65, because then I want to go do this social thing with friends after. And I need energy for that too. And I need to know myself, and I need to know my limits and my boundaries.
Well, and recognizing that giving 100% is not even always rewarded either. Like,
exactly.
We have this idea that if you give 100%, things are going to be rewarded. But we also have to recognize life is political and people make choices based on vibes. And, being the first one in the office and the last one to leave doesn't guarantee anything. It might make it more or less likely that something's going to happen, but it doesn't mean you're going to get that raise. It doesn't mean you're going to get the promotion. It does mean that unless one of your values is being that person, then it's definitely going to burn you out. And if the reward is not worth the cost, why in the world are we doing it? Why are we telling people to do it?
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. It is a hard pill I've had to swallow. I at this point, I work for, a large-ish corporation. There's multiple sites over multiple states. And I've had to learn that I do the work for the clients that I care about so
Mhm.
deeply, and I need to do what's right by them. And me working extra hours, me staying late, me covering, me doing this, me doing that, the company is not going to thank me for. And I can't do something because I expect that reward, because that reward will not come. So
Yeah.
I need to, again, like set these boundaries. There's, incentive programs of if you stay late or if you cover this thing or work above your caseload or whatever that might be, that you get additional incentives. And I have to make sure that those incentives make it worthwhile, because I can't do favors for a company that's not going to do favors for me. And
Sure.
that's a boundary I've had to make with this company. And I have also worked for organizations that will absolutely be flexible and be much more lenient and caring. And in those situations, I will be more lenient and caring
Mhm.
for an organization that gives that to me. And I need to protect myself when the organization won't protect me. One of the things is that the state of California doesn't protect salaried workers from working over 40 hours a week or more than
Mhm.
8 hours per day. So the company does not provide those protections, or
Yeah.
the company, the state. I am not supported in not working over 40 hours or over 8 hours a day. So I personally need to be the one that holds that
Yeah.
boundary of I will not work more than 8 hours a day. I will not work more than 40 hours a week, because that is not what is helpful to me. I will not be rewarded for doing that. I will be exploited and taken advantage of if I
Mhm.
offer that I'm able to do that. So if I'm going to take care of myself, I need to be the one taking care of myself.
Well, and again, with the caveat that if your values dictate that you are that kind of person that wants to work 10-hour days and gets a lot of meaning out of working, say, 75-hour weeks, if that's in line with who you are and who you want to be, go for it.
Yeah.
But you can't expect other
Yeah.
people that don't share those values and aren't rewarded for doing it
Yeah.
to push themselves that hard.
Totally. You're right. I am forgetting that this is a podcast that other people listen to and not just us gabbing.
Sure.
Because these are ideas we've talked about and ideas we've shared. So I'm, acknowledging and knowing that we're on the same page here, and recognizing that, yeah, there are people that want that. And I know, especially, we grew up in the Silicon Valley, and there are lots of people that, quote unquote, do their time of working 80-hour weeks so that eventually they can have a steady job at a good company like
Mhm.
Google or Tesla or whatever, right? And if that is the value you have, of you want to put in that time for that company and have that relationship, sure. If that is what you value, go for it. And that works in some industries and for some people. And I've found that for myself, when I have overextended myself, it causes resentment and burnout.
Hmm.
And I don't want to feel that way about a job I love. I don't want to have
Yeah.
that attitude around my family, around the people that I care about. So that's the way my priorities have shifted.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a good discussion on just one question. So let's move
What
on
can
to
I
the next
say?
let's
Okay,
move on to the next prepared question. So,
perfect.
when was the last time you felt like a fraud or imposter, and what did you do about it?
Okay. I had an immediate knee-jerk reaction to this one as well. Again, I exposing that I've shirked my sisterly duties and keeping you minute to minute updated in my life. But in the last few months, I have started becoming a volleyball referee. And I loved playing volleyball in middle school and high school. I really enjoyed it. I loved seeing the refs. I loved the game. I love watching it. It's been so fun. And so it, has been a thought a few times of, could I do that? Actually started training last summer, and then I moved for my current job. So I didn't actually get that started, but I did the trainings this summer, and I'm a volleyball ref now. And I am sure you and anyone listening is aware that people like to question,
Sure.
combat,
Yeah.
um, criticize refs or anyone that has the authority to make those calls. And there have been times where, especially me as a new ref, it's my first season. I don't know everything yet. I am doing my best to make the right calls. And especially in the early season and with younger girls, middle school, JV, freshman teams, those kinds of things, the priority is to make sure the girls can play, not
Yeah.
to be really strict or nitpicky when it doesn't need to be. But then you have a coach whispering in your ear saying, hey, that person definitely, touched the net, or that person definitely had their service faults, blah, 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 whatever, right? They are out of rotation. They're this, they're that. And putting those critiques in my ear, and it's not helpful. It's really not, to hear essentially you're doing a bad job. You don't know what you're doing. And I am not saying to any sports fans out there to not, yell at your TV of, are you blind, ref? Whatever those things may be. But it's been something that I very specifically felt in one of these games where I'm doing my best. It was actually my first game. It was a preseason game. So it's for the trainings of the refs, for the girls to learn. Yeah. It doesn't even count. And this coach was just so upset with one of the things that I was doing. There was like a rotation error with, this other team, but his team also had a rotation error, but in a slightly different way. So after the first set, I then went and talked to both teams. Hey, by the way, I haven't called this yet. Something you can be aware of, something you can watch for, just so you know. Yeah. So I'm trying to show, no, I see what you're talking about.
There's an equanimity there.
Yes. I wanted to treat it in a more dignified's the word that's coming to mind. It's not quite what I'm going for, but I think you get what I'm talking about. I wanted to treat it in a way that showed that I knew what I was doing. I could keep my composure. I could provide a little bit of leniency and be compassionate in this way that makes it a little bit more enjoyable for these girls that are playing in a preseason game that truly doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think even made a comment of, I just want you girls to be able to play. This is something you can keep in mind, something you can watch. And when you tighten it up, you're going to be doing really, really incredibly. And you're doing these other things really well. And I, kind of compliment sandwich them as, preseason early, volleyball players, and making sure that they're feeling supported and encouraged in those things. So I really tried to, in those moments when someone else was doubting me, tried to maintain my composure, keep that confidence, hold my head high of, I know what I'm doing, and it is okay for me to not be as critical as you want me to be for the benefit of what I'm doing. Because I'm learning, they're learning. It's okay. And I'm going to show you that I'm okay with that, even if that makes you uncomfortable. And again, I think that's something that being a therapist is of, I'm going to hold these emotions because you're clearly feeling some type of way about this. And I'm going to hold that for you and not react.
Yeah.
Because that's not helpful for anyone.
Well, I remember when I was playing basketball or watching the movie Remember the Titans, there's a ref that's being unfair to the Titans, and Coach Boone just yells out, "Let them play, ref! Let them play!" And I think about that a lot when I look at sports. Yep. And every ref is different, and every ref has the things that bother them, the little ticks, the rule breaks that they notice and that bother them. And when they're just little kids or even high school, I look and I just want to, look at the ref and say, "Ref, just let them play." They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to learn. But I had a coach that was a screamer for my first 3 years of high school. She'd scream at us. She'd scream at the ref. She'd scream at the fans in the stand, and I don't know how productive any of that was.
Yeah. And I remember being a kid sitting in those stands and being like, what is going on here? I can picture that now that you're saying it. Wow.
Oh, coach. But the refs that would let us figure it out, right? The difference between a flagrant foul versus something that was just, I'm a gangly teen that grew 10 inches in the last year, and I literally don't know where my body is. And I'm trying to cause problems here. There's a difference. Yeah. And so I appreciate, that you're trying to find that balance, but that when some coach is getting on your case about something, I can also understand how you, as the ref, is also feeling insecure, or maybe you don't know what you're doing, or that and that would feel a little bit of an insecure place to be, a little bit like a fraud or an imposter, like I was asking about.
Yeah, that's where that imposter syndrome comes in of, oh no, did I not see something? Am I doing this wrong? And especially in these first few games, I don't know. Did I miss something? And there is that genuine, I don't know. And I'd like to say I've gotten over it. I don't know that I'm cured and immune. But, in my job, I think I've gotten over a lot of the imposter syndrome that can come with it of, am I not doing good enough? Am I not doing enough, period? And I have that confidence of I'm doing what I can do. I, had someone tell me early on, you can't work harder than the client is. And that's important to keep in mind of if they're willing to do the work, change will happen and I can't make them do that. So I've been able to disconnect there, but it's definitely been more recently in this volleyball realm of, do I not actually know what's going on? Am I wrong? Am I stupid? Did I miss something? Oh no. But in those moments still, it's so important to keep the composure of, nope, I'm confident. And if I confidently make a call, it cannot be questioned. That is like the whole point of being a ref. So if I'm confident about it, then it is indisputable. If I look like, I don't know, maybe it was in, maybe this person gets the point, whoever, that is when people will be more upset. Mm-hmm. It is the confidence in the face of the imposter syndrome that will allow you to get through.
Yeah. Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
This is a good one. So this is the first question that came up from the random number generator. Ready?
Okay.
What's the strangest award or certificate you ever got in high school?
In high school? Okay. You're narrowing me down to high school because I thought of something in college, but.
Well, go for it. Look, these are jumping off points. You tell whatever story comes to mind. If you had something visceral, go for it. And tell the story. So.
Yeah. Well,
strangest award or certificate.
Well, it was called the Susan Stapish Award, where, clearly it's named after someone who, they made an award after because they were so incredible. And apparently it was this chick named Susan Stapish.
You're going to look her up and she's going to be incredible. Just see what. I'm going to get comments on this video. Susan Stapish is my hero.
I'm Googling Susan Stapish now just to see. Oh, no, Susan Stapish obituary. I can't.
Oh, Channing. Okay, so you got the Susan Stapish Award.
I got the Susan Stapish Award. I worked in housing in my little college, and at the university housing there, I hadn't learned my lesson that we talked about in question 1 about not trying your best. And I really, really went above and beyond all the time. Mm. I really, really tried my best. I made it so clear that I cared about my job. I was on time to everything when, college students are flaky or sleep in or whatever. You know that I've never been that kind of person. I'm a sleepy girl by nature and get my 8 hours before 6 a.m. But I remember trying really, really hard and had luckily a very good supervisor at the time who was very thankful and made sure that I was seen for that. But then at the end of the year, it felt really nice to get this stupid and kind of arbitrary award of you got the You Did a Good Job award.
Yeah.
Named after this person who did a good job once years ago. And that felt really, really validating. It actually, that year when we were doing, the awards ceremony for all the people that worked in housing, someone else also got the award and was an upperclassman above me. Mm. So and getting the You Did a Good Job award, this kid, Carlos, who is amazing and worked in a different department than me and also was amazing. One of these people that always went above and beyond. And then there was the secondary caveat of, and we couldn't pick just one person. So also getting this award is Channing Bushman. And that was really, really validating for me, even though it was this silly little thing. And I did get a little engraved plaque that says Channing Bushman, Susan Stapish Award, 20, whatever year it was. And being able to feel that little recognition in a trivial way was still really nice, even though it was this kind of weird award that told me that I did a good job.
I love that. Do you want to see my little dumb award? It's sitting on the bookshelf next to me. So we went on a cruise this summer, and I got to get it in the light, in the frame.
Nice.
So the girls really, the little girls, they really wanted to go on stage. Yeah. And at one of the shows, they do trivia contests and games and whatever. And the little girls really wanted to go on stage. And, I can turn it on when I need to. I'd prefer not. I fully would prefer to sit in the audience and just enjoy watching other people be extroverted and have a great time. I'm an introvert by nature.
The guy who made a podcast so people can listen to him.
Yes. I understand the
You can turn
irony,
it on for sure. I
but
know you can.
also because I feel compelled to share and hopefully help somebody.
Oh,
Anyway,
absolutely.
so
No,
so we
I'm
were
not
on the
knocking it.
cruise. The girls wanted to go on stage. So I turned it on, right? They were saying, hey, we're going to do the pre-show. We're going to be looking out at the audience for who has good energy and whatever. So I turned it way up for the pre-show. I was having a blast. I was so funny, cheering, whatever. So they get into this musical trivia competition on the ship. And of course, I get called up. And when I get called up, the girls get so excited that they jump up and come with me. And
Of
the guy
course.
who's like the cruise director is not on board with this
Oh no.
because, they're not really supposed to have kids on the stage for the most part. And then he thought about for a second, maybe thought about the optics of it or something. And he was like, you know what? Just come on. So all three of the little girls came up on stage
They're
with me
such
for the
cute little
music
girls.
trivia
How do you
contest.
say no?
Right. And then we won the musical trivia contest and got our little award. And it's just a cheapest piece of garbage plastic.
Yeah.
But I keep it on my bookshelf in the office just as like a funny reminder of hanging out with the girls and doing something fun and different.
Yeah, that's a much more heartwarming story than mine. Mine was like, I needed someone to tell me I did a good job because I worked really hard and I need validation. And yours was like, I'm a good dad. So
where do you think I get my validation from, Channel?
I guess your girls are very cute. And that I'm sure
Validation.
helps you feel good about yourself.
Okay, so let me move on to the next one.
Okay.
Who in your life is funny on accident?
Do I have to say you? Is that what you're fishing for
whoever
here?
you want. This is on the random number generator. I could be interviewing somebody who doesn't even know me, and this question could come up.
Okay.
You can say me if that's a genuine answer, but
funny without knowing it? Funny on accident?
Funny on accident, funny without knowing it. That person that's not trying to be funny, but just is.
Yeah. I am being reminded of a time with a friend that I went to see Shrek the Musical. And she is someone who I love dearly and is very, very intelligent. Don't get me wrong, but like is sometimes like a little bit slow on the uptake of jokes and things. And there's a part where they get to Duloc and Donkey has a shirt on that says just Duloc with the Nike swoosh. And as Donkey comes on stage, there's like a little giggle, haha, just Duloc. There's the t-shirt, whatever. And then like 5 minutes into the scene, she leans over and goes, Channing, look at the shirt. And I go, yeah, Carrie, I saw it 5 minutes ago. I got it. And I think like little things like that they're, again, no hard feelings. She's such a sweetie, but the accidentally funny by pointing out the things that are funny because she's just so truly delighted and wanted to make sure that I thought it was funny too.
Yeah.
That's the story that's coming to mind.
I love it. All right. What's the strangest life lesson that you actually live by?
Ooh, I feel like I've maybe just told this story a few times recently, so it's top of mind. It is a theme throughout my life that I am really attached to and really, going back to that theme of values and priorities really drives those for me. I have a summer birthday, and when I was a kid, of course, like none of my second grade friends were calling me on my birthday. There was one summer that, as of course Dad lost his job and there wasn't room in the budget for a birthday party to get all of my elementary school friends to come hang out with me. And I remember on that birthday just feeling so like lonely and forgotten, and it just like sucked. I remember that feeling, and I can like picture that little girl sitting on the couch knowing it's her birthday and like knowing that, mom's in the other room cooking my favorite dinner, and like it still felt icky. It doesn't, your birthday is supposed to be when everyone like shows up for you and, there's this big thing. And so I remember that feeling. And now something that I'm really intentional about is texting people on their birthdays. I have notifications in my phone. I text people on their birthdays, and as I'm saying this, I'm wondering, oh no, am I saying all this and I secretly didn't text you on your birthday and I'm a bad sister? Birthdays
aren't a big deal for me, so you're good.
But it's something that I remember feeling really not let down by, but it was a little thing that was a sad feeling. It was maybe one of these first times as a kid that I felt like, dang, this isn't what it should be or what I wanted, that like true
Yeah.
disappointment. And that's not a feeling I want people to feel. And, maybe it is, again, summer birthday, I'm a Leo and love the attention. And also because I'm such a giving person and I feel justified in my birthday is a one day of the year I can take and not have to give back. But it's something that's really important to me. So I am very intentional about sending people a text on their birthday or providing those little wishes of, hey, I know maybe I haven't texted you since I texted you happy birthday last year, but I'm still thinking about you. I still love you. And that's something that's really important to me. And it's been a theme very consistently. And it's, of course, very connected to lots of my values and specifically why I have the job I do now. It's very much because there was a time in my life, again, our personal family history when mom got cancer. And I was in college and having a really, really hard time with it. And one of my friends and one of my professors kind of dragged me by the ear and said, you're going to go to the student counseling center and you're going to talk to someone about this because you're not okay. And I really needed that at a time in my life. And I still go to my own personal therapy. It's so important to me and, practice what I preach. But it's also something that I was so benefited by and I want there to be more of in the world. So I am joining the field that I think needs more support, more accessibility, more availability. So that's something that's just been this reoccurring theme in my life of when I have felt these really hard things, I have made it then a priority to alleviate those hard feelings for others.
Yeah. Oof. That was deep, Channing. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
What's the earliest memory that you're not sure is real?
Oh, this is interesting. I feel like memories are easier to connect to when there's a picture, right? There's a photo associated. There's a photo of me on the wall. Again, because we grew up in the same house, the one of like little baby Channing
The
in the
ringlets
field of
with the
marigolds.
poppies?
Exactly. I think are they poppies? Are they marigolds?
I thought they were poppies, but you've been home more recently than me.
They're some kind of orange yellow flower. And I'm in this beautiful field. It's at the pumpkin patch in our hometown. And I remember being there. And I also remember that pumpkin patch in general because it was the one in our hometown. And there's another picture of me on the cute little train or whatever. I remember those things, but I don't really remember anything around them except I've also been to that location. So it's the I kind of remember doing that. But
Sure.
of course it goes with the photos. So that's what makes it more memorable. There are definitely other memories though of did that actually happen or was that some crazy dream? Because memory is weird and slippery like that, but
Yeah.
it's easier to attach it to a picture.
Mine is, I have a scar on my pinky and I remember cutting it off, except when I look at the scar, it doesn't go all the way through. So I don't think I cut my finger off, but I remember cutting my finger off. So I don't know what the deal is. So that's one of those ones that for me, but talking about that pumpkin patch, when I was in 5th or 6th grade, we had to do a report where we had to take a news article and we had to summarize it in our own words as if we were writing the news article. And it was
Okay.
about the owner of that pumpkin patch / Christmas tree farm, the founder, the dad, grandpa guy. Anyway, so when we went to go get our Christmas tree that year and we were at the window getting apple cider, I mentioned or mom mentioned or something that I'd written this news article about the founder. And they took me into his office. It was smoke filled and there was whiskey on the, whatever. This dark, dim, scary office for him to say thank you for writing an article about him. I hadn't really thought about that until, I don't know the last time I thought about that, but just you telling that story, I was like, oh, that's a weird thing that happened to me.
Yep. Yep. Those memories that get unlocked and you're like, wait a second, and that's one of the things. Did that really happen? Or am I kind of imagining this
that one I know happened. Because I was old enough to be like, no, that's a really weird thing that just happened to me today at the Christmas tree farm.
Yeah. Yeah. And thinking it's some kind of like treat for you to go meet the founder because you wrote this report.
Going to this dark,
Oh, that's
scary, smoke-filled office with a treat for me.
That's funny.
What's the strangest free food you've ever eaten?
Strangest free food I've ever eaten. That's a really interesting one. And especially, I mentioned earlier, I work with eating disorders. So we talk a lot about like all food is good food, and adding additional food rules isn't helpful for anybody ever, especially if you have an eating disorder. So I definitely have a policy of like eating and trying things and encouraging people, people offhand be like, maybe my dear brother earlier of, I haven't really eaten that much today. And I go, bruh, literally, but you need to eat some food. Like, do you know what job I have? So I make it a policy to encourage people to nourish themselves and to enjoy food and to engage with those things. I'm trying to think of a specific free food experience.
Let me tell one while you're thinking.
Yes, great.
So when I was doing missionary work in Brazil, there was a street vendor who did churros. So he had his little churro cart, and he had a little deep fryer in there. And then he had like long metal tubes that you would stick the churro on and push a button. And while he was pulling off the churro, it would get filled with caramel or it'd get filled with chocolate.
Yeah.
We'd buy a churro from this guy every once in a while, but never really consistently. But I swear to you, every time we were having a bad day and it was raining and it was just one of those days like, I'm just going to throw in the towel. I'm done with this crap. He'd come by with his little churro cart in the rain where no one's buying churros. And I
think this man was a ghost, Drew. I think this man was not real.
Churros for free just because he's not selling them. And we're there looking pathetic and sad out in the rain with him. So yeah, we got probably 3 or 4 times over the course of the 3 months that I was there. I got free churros from this gentleman, and only when it was raining and only when we were feeling sad and pathetic.
I think that was a ghost. I really do, Drew.
Sure could have been, but I appreciated it.
I think that was a mirage.
Look, it made me feel better when I was having a tough day. So
that's what you needed. And that's what you needed. And that's what you got. I am remembering. Do you remember when you used to go to the minor league baseball games?
Mm-hmm.
There were San Jose
A's or the San
Jose Giants.
San Jose Giants. That's what it was.
Okay. And here's the thing about that, because I assumed, because we went to the San Jose Giants and there was nearby the San Francisco Giants, I thought that all minor league teams were like mascotted in adjacent, to their, adjacent team, right?
Like theater team.
Then, the feeder team. But it is not the case. And there's all kinds of weird minor league mascots everywhere. And I've like seen videos of like, well, have you seen this weird mascot of whatever? Or like, tier list ranking of all the weird mascots or whatever. Like, and I just had no idea because I grew up with the San Jose Giants that fed into the San Francisco Giants. But they, had the 7th inning stretch and the like cute little like over the fence horse race and whatever. But they also had a dance for your dinner where we had a little chicken dance vibes. Yep. Where, we went early to the game, get good parking or whatever, as a typical, our middle-aged father would do. And we went with my friend Madison at the time that we lived near. And because we were early, she and I were selected between the 3rd and 4th innings or whatever to come down and for her to stand on first base and me to stand on third or whichever it was, and to dance our little heart out. And it was determined via the crowd applause that we tied in our dance. So neither of us won the like chicken dinner or whatever it was. So we each got a hot dog and a Hawaiian punch. And I remember very clearly that it was Hawaiian punch. And we, again, you were aware of this because we grew up in the same home, but we were very much a no sodas, no sweet beverages, nothing like that household. So I was like so enthralled by like, there's this drink and it's sweet and I'm allowed to have it because I won it dancing for my dinner on first base at the San Jose Giants.
I love it. Do you remember that they would do a crowd dance where everyone in the crowd was invited to participate to do the chicken dance?
Yeah.
And if you won, you got like a $50 gift card to some fancy chicken place.
I don't remember the gift card. I don't think I cared about that as a 7-year-old. I remember them throwing rubber chickens at you.
Okay. But Dad won like 4 times over the course of a couple years. Whereas like, I don't know what's happening, but like the only time we got dessert eating out that I remember as a kid was when we had a $50 gift card, and it was like $50 dinner's already covered. And so we got a chocolate fondue for after dinner for the table to share. At whatever this chicken place was, because we had a $50 gift card, because Dad won the chicken dance a bunch of times.
I don't remember the gift card, and I don't remember the fondue, but I do remember the rubber chickens they would throw into the crowd. So I remember those. But Dad is also
usually in the
person...
nosebleeds with the free seats, so we didn't get any rubber chickens.
I feel like we had one though. I remember
one in
our living room somewhere. But Dad is also the person that has like called in and won things on the radio. Like he's just that person. Like I have no idea how Dad does it. But,
I will tell you, if there's a container full of jelly beans, there's even odds I'm winning on guessing how many there are. Yeah. I'm good at that.
That's your dad's superpower. Got it.
No, for real. Tina's like, how many are there? I'm like, oh, it's this many. And I'm like 11 off, right? Like an obscene closeness to how many jelly beans or how many pieces of makeup or whatever. Like that's my...
Yeah. If you've got to have a dad superpower. But this is coming from the guy who just talked about how he won the trivia contest on the stage with his daughters.
Sure.
You've got dad's vibe.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one more random question, and then we'll go to the last prepared one.
Okay. I keep wondering, wait, is this a good podcast, or are we just having fun?
I think both. I hope.
Okay.
All right. Do you want one or two?
Two.
All right. What's the most embarrassing way you've misread a social situation?
Ooh, okay. I have a very clear one for this. And I also want to hearken back to the one or two that you have always done there's an arbitrary decision I have to make. It really doesn't matter, but someone needs to pick. So one or two. Very good method.
And I won't tell you which one I pick.
Yeah.
So you can't influence the decision. You just have to pick one or two.
You just have to pick one or two. Definitely a helpful thing for any listeners out there that want to steal that of anytime I'm settling anything, one or two. It also secretly helps you know if I secretly was leaning towards two and you said one, then I know that two is what I secretly wanted. So I'm just going to pick two. And it helps with that too.
So that's the difference between you and me. I genuinely don't cheat.
What? I think it depends on the situation. There are times where it truly doesn't matter. And there are times where it's like, oh, I learned something about myself because I did actually care.
When I was disappointed that you picked one, I realized I wanted two.
Exactly. Okay. And then you go with two because that then you know.
I mean, I don't, but you do, and that's okay.
For, take whatever.
What makes me a lawyer and you a therapist?
Exactly. You're very by the book, and I'm all about those feelings, baby. What was the question again? We gabbed too long.
Embarrassing way you misread a social situation.
Yes. Okay. I am not a sarcastic person in general. I am not good at it. Someone will be sarcastic and I'll go, wait, are you being serious? I can't tell. So that's me as a person. And there have been times where I try to make a sarcastic joke of something and it turns out sounding really, really mean. There was a time where I was, called up. There was some trivia thing or memorization, whatever. Oh, it was memorizing parts. It was in a history class, memorizing parts of the, maybe the Bill of Rights or something. We had to memorize and summarize each of the 10 and whatever. But 2 other people had already gone up for the one that I was also assigned to memorize part of or whatever. But I was still then called. So I was surprised and tried to make some joke about oh, haha, I still had to do it. Guess the other 2 didn't cover it. But it came out as didn't do good enough. And that I was totally roasting these 2 other people in my high school history class when I'm and then there was a ooh in the room. And I was like, that's not what I meant. And there was this whole thing for the next week. Cause of course, if you react to something, high school kids are not going to let go. So I just remember being so embarrassed because I was trying to make a lighthearted joke out of the situation and it just did not land. And I felt so bad.
One of those times you wish you could just catch the words out of the air and put them back in your mouth.
I just didn't know. the words are like toothpaste moments or whatever. Yeah, it just like, and it just felt so icky because I'm not that kind of person. So why should I try? And so I don't try. And then every once in a while it comes out and I'm like, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry. But that's the memory.
Well, I'll tell you what. We didn't get to 4 of the wildcard questions that I had planned, but I'll tell you what
Oh,
one
no.
was that you didn't get.
Okay.
What's the most unusual way you've injured yourself at work or home? So you're not allowed to answer it now. If you want to answer it, you have to come back on the podcast. So just be
Okay.
thinking about unusual way
Okay.
you've injured yourself. You can't
The
answer it
thing is,
now.
I know it happened last week.
Sorry, too bad. You got to come back.
Okay.
So I always like to bring it back at the end to the theme of the show. What's one thing, big or small, that makes your life clear enough for you right now?
I, of course, have talked to you personally about how I really love the idea for this podcast and how I think about this a lot too, and how specifically very recently I've been thinking about it because there is this, I don't have the rest of my life figured out. And I feel that pressure a lot. And like I mentioned, yep, that's why I'm a guest here. I very specifically remember when as I mentioned earlier, when I first went to therapy around when mom got cancer and I was dealing with some other stuff, whatever, I started doing affirmations and it was really helpful to like have that cognitive rewiring and the neuroplasticity of, no, I can do hard things and I can, XYZ. But the one that I restarted recently because I've been feeling this consistent like overwhelm is I can do one thing without doing everything. And I can do the hard things that are coming my way. I can handle anything that's coming my way, as well as this concept. And I'm like now blanking on how I've specifically worded it, even though I've repeated it like every day for the last 2 months of I can take one step without seeing the whole path.
That's the clear enough mindset right there.
Exactly. That's like literally a reword of like what the vibes are. And at this point, as it was mentioned at the top, I'm really close to getting my supervisory hours. I'm really close to taking the licensure exam. So the opportunity doors are opening to me. And I am excited to kind of make a transition, pivot, and have some more opportunities. And I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
So being able to know that just what I'm doing right now is enough. And the things that I am doing are keeping me on that path. I don't have to do anything different to keep moving towards the things I want.
Yeah.
And that's been super important for me to remember that right now, nothing has to be different. I just have to take things as they come. And right now the waiting game is such that I just have to finish my hours and then I'll be able to apply to take the exam and then I get to schedule it and, those kinds of things. And I just have to wait a few more weeks to have the hours to take the exam, to do all these things, to kind of take these slow steps. And the answer for right now isn't here's what your future looks like. It's keep doing what you're doing. And that's a hard answer to get. And it's what I know I need to do. I have jumped the gun a little bit and I got myself the Gmail username of channinglpcc@gmail.com.
Are you sure you want to share that in the podcast?
Sure can. I appreciate the check though. So if you have any questions or if you need therapy in the state of California, let me know. I'm working on being able to take insurance. But there are not many things I can work on right now. It's just keep doing what you're doing, take care of yourself, do the things that will keep you on the path towards what you want. And then when those things come along, almost like when you stumble over those things, you can then work out how to incorporate it. So that's the waiting game I'm currently in. And I'm proud of myself in the way that I am taking it in stride.
Yeah.
So that's the spot that I'm at right now.
I love that. Well, before we wrap up, do you want people to find you? And if so, how can they follow along with what you're working on?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on like LinkedIn or whatever. Hopefully once I'm licensed, I'll have my Psychology Today back up or whatever. But yeah, I guess that email channinglpcc@gmail.com is the best way to reach me. I will not personally have the expertise to work with everyone, especially because I specialize pretty specifically with eating disorders and other related behavioral concerns, things like OCD, personality disorders, things like that. So I do have a pretty niche specialty, but I also, through my work, have created a great network of incredible referral sources, both locally and across the country. So I am very passionate, as I mentioned earlier, about getting people access to the care that I needed and that I think is so desperately needed in general. So if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, I mean, that email inbox is empty currently, but I would love to see it fill up a little bit. So wouldn't mind hearing any of those things.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to Channing for being here, and thank you for sharing so openly. And thank you, too, for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a friend who might need it. That's how this community grows. Until next time, keep things clear enough.
Clear enough. Thank you all.